After weeks of controversy surrounding this project and its lead, it appears that Disney's upcoming Snow White remake is at the very least being delayed. Now, a lot of this, I'm sure, has to do with the strikes going on in Hollywood right now. But you also can't help but feel like Disney wants to take a little bit extra time and do some damage control. Losing $900 million at the box office over the past year will do that to a company. Because let's face it, they can't really afford their movies to continue to flop. And Rachel Zegler, the star of this film, hasn't been doing it any favors. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937. She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
I want everyone to stop and think about the concept of a remake for a moment. Remake is kind of a volatile word when it comes to film discussion. Because typically in the modern era, when Hollywood is going to remake something, it feels like they're just trying to cash in on an established name and nothing more. It never really feels like they have a fresh perspective to offer. It feels like they are out of ideas and looking for an easy way to muster up some more content.
Put some effort into it!
And the final product typically reflects the lack of artistic integrity. And what we are left with is a shell of what that original movie once was. This is the Disney live-action remakes in a nutshell. Each one is just as forgettable as the previous. Truth be told, if you have the right people involved, remakes can be a success. It's rare, but it does happen. To me, the best remakes find a balance between honoring what came before and offering something unique.
That makes sense.
A unique take on a classic story that makes sense and justifies the new film's existence. But that's not what's happening over at Disney. It's quite the opposite, actually. What Disney is doing, for one, is being lazy, and two, they are actually somehow actively undermining and discrediting their own animated classics.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Now, I have my theories as to why they would want to do something like that, and for more information on that, you can check out my video from a couple of weeks ago about Disney canceling physical media. But here's the real kicker as it pertains to this particular remake of Snow White. I think this has been the most blatant example thus far of the people involved very obviously trying to destroy a classic. And it's all being done under the guise of quote-unquote modernizing the story.
Something very familiar about all this.
Now, if any of you have been watching me for any length of time, we know exactly what modernizing a story means. Modernize is a code word that people use when the intention is to strip away everything that works and everything that is recognizable about a classic story. You see, everyone in the modern era thinks they know better than these stories' original creators. And this is the current Hollywood trend, taking something problematic from the past and fixing it.
No, don't like that.
And over the past few years, Disney has been the biggest perpetrator of just that. So why all the controversy around this Snow White remake? We can put the terrible leaked set photos aside for a moment, because that's not even this film's biggest issue right now. Unfortunately, this movie's biggest issue is the lead, Rachel Zegler. She has made numerous comments over the past few months about how the original Snow White story is outdated as it pertains to how it portrays women in power. Something that the son of the co-director of the original film and fans all over the world have balked at. Let me make this very clear because I do not have a strong connection to this story for obvious reasons. It wasn't really in my wheelhouse. But imagine for a second a die-hard Snow White fan, a person who grew up with the classic story, and the first thing they hear about this remake comes from the star of the movie, and she's calling one of your favorite stories and one of your favorite characters outdated.
Not up in here! Not up in here!
How exactly do you think that's going to go over? It's not an ideal marketing strategy. Truthfully, it makes her come off as very unlikable, and it turns modern audiences off from wanting to give this new version of the story a chance. There was a report that branding experts warn that Rachel Zegler's backlash could ruin Disney's big-budget Snow White remake, and they are predicting that executives will be having crisis talks in order to win back fans ahead of its 2024 release. If that, in fact, does end up being true, and Disney goes into full panic mode, they have no one to blame but themselves. I said this on my X account, and I'll say it again here, but I almost, emphasis on almost, feel bad for Rachel Zegler.
Why?
Not because I agree with what she's saying, in fact I couldn't disagree anymore, but to me she comes off as just another young actress who has been programmed by what modern Hollywood and society is telling her is now acceptable. She's been brought up in an environment where people literally go out of their way to nitpick things from the past and try to bring them down as a way of making modern garbage look better. Unfortunately for her, there are a lot of people out there who just aren't interested in hearing her thoughts on this story.
Anybody care about what I want?
I do.
Shut up. Get out.
Because the way that she presented those ideologies made her look ungrateful for the opportunity she's been given to remake it in the first place. Disrespecting the source material is never going to go over well when it comes to these timeless classics. They are timeless for a reason, and they've existed in pop culture for decades without your short-sighted changes. It's a very simple concept. I really don't understand why Hollywood types feel the need to talk about these types of things at all. At least if you don't tell people what you're actually doing, you might get some people who don't know any better and aren't familiar with Disney's tactics who might show up for this movie and give it a chance. All you're really doing is allowing your actress to turn away potential customers. And that's not ideal for a company who is already taking major losses.
Me. Help you.
Since all of the controversy that's taken place, Rachel has released a video on social media crying about everything, and she's making vague posts on social media blaming other people for what's happened. And to me, if she wants to blame someone, she should blame her employer or the people around her for filling her head with this nonsense and then sending her out to talk to the media like a sacrificial lamb. People just want to be entertained. They want to escape. So shut up and make your movies, collect your paycheck, and stop lecturing people about how the stories they love are no longer socially acceptable. The amount of copium in this video is staggering. Will you people ever let go of the past? These stories don't belong to you anymore. Imagine a grown man making an 8+ minute video raging over a Snow White movie. Grow up. Your bias is showing, and that explains why you have less than 5,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Nobody wants to hear that. Also, why do you talk with your hands so much? Ugh, so distracting. Maybe it's time you quit YouTube, because all of your complaints place you firmly in the minority. All hail Queen Rachel. Yes, Queen!
Y'all be cool. Right on.